Grown black men arguing that non-black women are better than black women. Sad. Just sad. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, a darker shade of black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller.
Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue.
I got some very deeply troubling responses to my video. Uncle Luke says that Hispanic women treat black men better than black women. And as I looked at these responses, I had to shake my head because I saw a series of grown black men making statements to defend Uncle Luke as related to his statement that Hispanic women treat black men better than black women. And I had to shake my head because no other group of men outside of black men would go out here and make that statement. No, you would not hear a white man going out here and saying black women treat white men better than white women, nor would you hear an Asian man say that black women would go out here and treat a Asian man better than an Asian woman, and you wouldn't hear an Arab man going out here saying a black woman treats a black Arab man better than an Arab woman. No, those groups of men would not make those statements because those statements would say that this man has no pride in his race or pride in his culture. And the sad part with me for seeing with black men is that they would go out of their way to not only reinforce Uncle Luke's statement, but also go out here to fight for that statement. It was really sad to me to see grown black men going out here to say, hey, this woman of another race is better than my own woman. And that is one of the ultimate statements of self-hatred I have ever seen in my life. And it's really sad that many black men have such deep self-hatred towards their own race that they basically will say a woman of another race is better than their own women. Now, I have my issues with black women, and I have been critical of black women, and in writing blogs and books like Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. However, I wouldn't go out here and make a statement to say a woman of another race is better than the woman in my own community. No, I wouldn't make that statement openly like Uncle Luke did, because to make that type of statement is the ultimate statement of self-hatred and a condemnation of your own people and your own race. And Uncle Luke, being an opportunistic tether, basically made that statement because what he wanted to do was go out here and exploit the fault lines as related to the gender war that have been polarized ever since social media came around in 2006 and black men finally got to be able to use their voices after being silenced for over 30 years. After over 30 years, black men who were silenced by the mainstream media as feminist black women like Oprah Winfrey basically created a narrative to demonize black men, basically control the airwaves for over 30 years. All of that was undone when black men finally came to YouTube, and as black men came to YouTube, they were able to tell their side of the story as related to relations between black men and black women partially, but what many black men didn't do was understand the hand of white supremacy in looking to try to polarize black men and black women as related to the gender war they wanted us to be in. Because one of the big businesses of white supremacy is war, and I talk about that in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. The business of white supremacy is war, and they make money selling the guns and the butter to foundational black American men and foundational black American women, and have us fighting each other as they profit from their war. And what they do in order to keep their war going is they find an opportunistic tether like an Uncle Luke to go out here and make a polarizing statement like Hispanic women treat black men better than black women, and that gets people firing shots in their gender war as related to this lie they want to tell, a lie they want to tell that where they can enrich themselves at our expense, getting us to fight each other, and getting a whole group of black men to buy into a lie about Hispanic women that makes them think that they can find a better relationship with a woman of another race. And that whole statement in and of itself is completely false, and I know it to be false because I've lived in the South Bronx among Hispanic women for over 30 years, and I know for a fact that many of these Hispanic women can be just as loud, just as ratchet, and just as disrespectful as black women are in this country. And I know that many of these Hispanic women who come from many countries and even are U.S. citizens here are just as disrespectful as black men believe black women to be. And I know many Hispanic guys who will attest to this and tell you that the women in their neighborhoods can be just as nasty and rude. And the whole thing is, when it comes to relationships, the reason why these women are like this is possibly, again, due to the way they are raised. And some of them basically are raised in dysfunctional households, and in others, they're basically have been imbibing the same Western media, whether they live overseas or they live right here. When it comes to a lot of these Hispanic women, they get the same internet, they get the same networks as related to television. They're watching the same media that demonizes black men. And in many of these foreign countries, many of these nations basically have heavy anti-black racism as related to their media. So whenever these black men sit there and make this statement, oh, these Hispanic women treat us better, how can she treat you better if she's coming from nations where they practice anti-black racism on the regular and express contempt for black men in their media? Critical question I have to ask many of these black males who buy into these beliefs: how can a Hispanic woman look to treat you better when she basically has learned to express contempt for you from the media she has watched in her own country, one, and then watched media from mainstream media like the Oprah Winfrey Show back in the day, and also watched a lot of the videos that are posted online, again, denigrating black men? How can she go out here and want to treat you better when she's been imbibing white supremacy and in many cases wants to be a part of that white supremacist system? Another critical question I want to ask all those black men who want to think Hispanic women want to treat them better. Again, when you look at the situation critically, you see how many of these ideas that black men have are basically fairy tales that they've come up with as related to relationships. They've come up with these ideas because they don't want to go out here and deal with the reality of relationships and understanding that women are women, and they didn't want to understand and process the trauma they have experienced as related to their upbringings in households with black women. A lot of black men want to, again, project the idea that Hispanic women and non-black women will be better than black women because they want to believe ideas that have been pushed by white supremacy for many years in their media, because in the white media, they've basically looked to elevate the image of the white woman to make her look like this innocent and demure princess. And what happens in many cases is, as they present the white woman as this demure and innocent princess, many black men become mesmerized and spellbound by the idea of this woman being an ideal. And those who are white adjacent, like Hispanics and Asians, they believe that those women are kind and friendly as well, because in the white media and other medias, again, they present their women as kind and friendly because that's the ideal they want. Unfortunately, when it comes to black men, what they don't see is how they're being bamboozled by the white media, and they don't see how the white media and how they go out here and present white women and non-black women colors their perception of black women. Now, this is further reinforced by the media itself as related to the way it presents black women by going out here and pushing images of black women as mammies and sapphires, emasculating and humiliating black men, and pushing the image of the Jezebel, saying that the black woman is sexually promiscuous. They push these narratives towards black men and look to demonize the image of the black woman. And as they demonize the image of the black woman, what happens to the black man is he starts to see the black woman as less than, and this is further reinforced by black women who buy into these ideas as the ideal to be a black woman because they want to fit into white society, and as they want to fit into white society, they buy into these stereotypes and believe this to be norm behavior, and as they do this, they go out here and are extremely abusive to black men. They are abusive to black men and black boys based on what the media that they see and the lies that they're told that black men are lazy, black men are incompetent, black men are incapable of being on a level of a white man. Meanwhile, white supremacy keeps that black man from being able to compete in the marketplace, and that further reinforces that idea in black women's minds, leading to them having anger at black men for something that they can't control as related to the economy. Now, as those black men can't control the economy, again, this is one of the things that causes a lot of frustration between black men and black women. And as black men and black women, again, have this whole frustration, this leads to black women having expectations. They want the black man to be like a white man, but he can't be in white supremacy. And that's what, again, has many black men out here, again, frustrated, but then has black women frustrated at that black man and looking to get angry at him. And as they get angry at him, that's what leads to, again, the situation of driving a wedge between the black man and the black woman. And that gets passed down from generation to generation. And that's what leads to what I call the trauma from mama. Mama had an expectation of a black man to be just like a white man because America told her we are all equal, but the white supremacist system isn't equal. And as she can't get the success that the white people have, she takes it out on her man, and in some cases, again, drives that man off. And then after she does this, she then takes her anger out on her son. And as she verbally and physically abuses that boy, that gives him the first taste of trauma from mama that he experiences, and that colors his perception of women because the first woman in his life is cruel to him. And as the first woman in his life is cruel to him, what happens to that black boy is that he goes into adolescence and he's mistreated by many of the black girls in his first efforts at romance. And as he's traumatized by the verbal and even sometimes physical abuse from these girls, who go out of their way not just to reject the guy, but to curse him out and humiliate and emasculate him, because this is the behavior she learned from her mother. What happens is this reinforces the trauma from mama, and as they have the trauma from mama and these girls, they then go over and see these other girls who are Hispanic or Asian or non-black, seeing them pay them attention, and they pay them attention not because they're really interested in these black boys, but because a lot of these girls basically see this black boy as their last option. And this is something many black men don't understand, because many black men don't understand about the social marketplace or competition. Same thing with this black woman. Many of these black men don't understand that the girls who are out here, the Hispanic women, the Asian women, and other women, basically are out here looking at a black man in many cases because they are the leftover women from those societies, and as the leftover women, they basically have run out of options with their men in their communities, and because they have either serious defects or the men that they want aren't available, what they do is come over to the black community looking for the black males who they believe have either the most potential or the most resources, and they go looking to get with those black guys because they couldn't get with the top white guys or the top Hispanic guys. or the top Asian guys or Arab guys in their neighborhood, they go over to the black community because they know that the black woman basically does not understand competition as related to the social marketplace. And because the black woman doesn't understand competition as related to the social marketplace, she basically, due to her traumas she's endured from mama, is looking for love from anyone who will pay attention to her. And with Pookie being the guy who pays attention to her, she basically gets with this guy, one, out of self-hatred, two, because he's the one who, again, presents a false image of masculinity and a false image of strength. She'll get with him and again express contempt for the regular black guys. And this is an opening that many of these white and non-black women look to seek to go through. They basically take advantage of the situation. And as they take advantage of the situation, that's where these white and Hispanic and Asian and Arab women basically go out here and play the role of the female chameleon. And as the female chameleon, what they do is see how hostile this black woman is, see how hostile she is, and play an opposite role. They go out here and play kind and nice and friendly and look to play this role as related to these black men to win their favor. What they do is put on a face that allows them to appear to be more appealing in comparison to the black woman, which is very easy because she's basically been programmed by not only the model her mother has shown her, but also by feminists like Oprah Winfrey and many of these hateful black women. Basically what happens is those black girls get, again, programmed with a lot of dysfunction, and that's what many of these women of other races basically take advantage of. They take advantage of the situation and go out here and put on their best face, making it look like they're nicer and friendlier to the black man who has never ever experienced kindness from a woman due to the cruelty he's experienced from his mother and the cruelty he's experienced from the black girls during adolescence. And that's what basically makes him think that this woman is a better woman than his own black woman. Meanwhile, he can't see how he's being manipulated by forces in white supremacy that are designed to try to divide black men from black women, because white supremacy doesn't want to see black men and black women come together as a couple. That's one of the things white supremacy doesn't want to see. And what they do is go out here and look to push these type of narratives towards black men. And sadly, many black males, because they have not processed that trauma from mama, they haven't gone to deal with those trauma from adolescence. They're sitting there again with this trauma, and and the sad part is they can't see how they're being taken advantage of, and they'll sit there and again fight and argue to the death. Oh, this Hispanic woman will treat me better. No, you're being misled as related to that situation. And many black men have been misled as related to that situation, like Cuba Gooding Jr. and many others. Sadly, they have basically been misled by Pied Pipers like Uncle Luke. Again, this tether basically, again, came into the black community. He degraded black women, and he's misleading black men, doing white supremacy's dirty work as related to pushing this narrative that drives wedges between black men and black women. And sadly, many black men, you can't explain anything to them. They basically, again, believe this more than they would believe the gospel of Jesus Christ as related to the whole perception of Hispanic women. They believe that they are better, and you can't, again, explain them the logic behind that situation. No, what happens with many of these black males is they get caught up in their feelings, get caught up in their emotions as related to their past traumas from adolescence and their past traumas from mama. And what they do is become extremely defensive, and you can't really explain anything to them in a logical fashion. No, they just get so caught up in their feelings, you can't really talk to them. And that's the sad part about black men. You can't really talk to them about anything without them getting emotional. And that really is the sad part. I mean, I've already dealt with this in 2019 with the passport bros and their insanity over thinking everything is better than a black woman because of the traumas they experience with black women that they have not processed. And as you try to talk to these black men, I mean, even Jason Black on The Business tried to talk to them and tried to explain female nature to them. There's no reasoning with them. No, that what they do is get so caught up in their feelings. Oh, this one is better, when female nature is female nature. And when it comes to females, they will go out here and use opportunities to get with the men with the most resources. That's basic hypergamy. And when you have an enemy like the black woman who again goes out here and makes tactical mistakes, people are gonna take advantage of it. And that's what Hispanic women do in the black community all the time. They see these black girls getting out here with Pookie and the neighborhood dope boy, and they see them passing by the square dudes who are on their way to college or on their way going to work every day. And they come in and take advantage of that situation because they know that that black woman, sadly, has been brainwashed by people like Oprah Winfrey and many of the bitter relatives in their family who screwed up relationships because they couldn't see, like their great-grandmothers, that white supremacy basically was against this black man and wouldn't allow him to be on the same level as a white man. And they basically understood that, but again, many black women, because they wanted to be like white women. I go in depth on this in my book. 70% of black women are single, bought into feminism, not understanding feminism was white supremacy, and feminism's goal was to divide the black man from the black woman, have her, again, accept substitutes like the welfare state, or think she could go out here and find this so-called good man, which is just a social construct the white supremacists made, this good-looking man who would be this ideal and perfect man who does not exist. They basically, again, bamboozled the black woman, and that's one of the reasons why she has such hatred for black men, because she's been misled and bamboozled the same way the black man has been misled and bamboozled. And again, both of them being misled and bamboozled don't see how the white supremacist is pulling these strings, and what they do in order to maintain their war is go out here and find a tool like Uncle Luke to go out here and make a statement like this. And as people are fighting on both sides, the white supremacist goes out here and makes money from this war and continues to see the division driven between black men and black women that he has basically profited from for over, again, 60 years, ever since he started this gender war. And sadly, many black men sadly don't see the big picture. A lot of us black men sadly don't see the big picture. We'll talk about ratchet black women, but once you start talking about, how it affects black men, many of the black men don't want to hear it. And when you start further talking about black men taking responsibility and taking the God-given role as leader and head in the communities, that's when they start to run and go out here and look to be under the skirt of a Hispanic woman, thinking they're being treated better, when, again, all they're doing is like the female chameleon, putting on an act, and again, in some cases, just being with this black man because he's got resources the Hispanic men don't have, and being with this black man because she basically can't get those resources from the Hispanic men, because if she had a choice, she would possibly be with that Hispanic man, and some of them be with Hispanic men under the table on a dude. But many black men don't want to look at the big picture as related to things. No, they want to buy into the idea that they're at the top of the social marketplace when they're actually at the bottom. And there's no reasoning with black men, sadly, out here as related to things, as related to how white supremacy is manipulating the whole dating marketplace, as related to black people and looking to manipulate it because they don't want to see black couples come together. They don't want to see black couples come together, and sadly, many black men have not asked critical questions like I ask as related to these other women of other races, like why are these women coming to step to me when they have their own men, or why have their men not stepped to them? That's a critical question I always ask. Why aren't their men stepping to them and seeing them as viable? Because the whole thing is if you can't, the whole thing is if you're not their first choice, there's a reason behind that, and that's what got Dakara Thompson jacked up and cost her life. She basically again got with one of these guys, and he basically took her life. And the same thing happened to Telbo. Rackins never asked that question. Okay, why is this woman in our marketplace and not in her own? But many black men, because they're spellbound and mesmerized by just the attention of a non-black woman, and basically caught up in the possible idea of someone treating them somewhat kindly, they basically start to buy this idea that this one is better, when in actuality women are women. And from my experience growing up in the South Bronx, a Hispanic woman can be just as loud, ratchet, and argumentative and disrespectful as a black woman, and she can be loud, argument, and disrespectful with Hispanic men. And that's why those Hispanic men ain't wanting nothing to do with her, because if she was, again, someone who they considered to be so nice, they would have been the first ones who would have went to step to her. And that's the thing that many black men don't want to think about. But you can't, again, explain this to the black man who's basically, again, all caught up in his feelings. And again, sad part with black men is that when you try to talk to them, there's no talking to them, because they let their feelings get in the way of anybody trying to present logic and reason to them. And as you try to talk to them and try to get them to understand, they don't. The only way they understand is to go through hard experiences. And the sad part is, with many black men, they have to go out here and experience something and bump in life in order for them to understand the truths about anything out here. Because the truth is, a Hispanic woman is no different than a black woman, because female nature is female nature, and women are going to be women no matter where you go. And it's all about you getting your head right and your mind right as a man, to be in a place where you can take the lead in your life and set the direction and the tone for any relationship you want to be in. Now, if you want to pick up some of my books on men's issues and learn how to break out of dysfunctional spellbound mindsets, like the one that has basically colored black men's perceptions, you can pick up my novel Spellbound to learn about the spellbound mindset and how it colors your perception of black and white. And you can also pick up my other men's issues books like Stop Simping, and like Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, The Misadventures of Captain Save 'em, and Manginas, and Stop Simping in the Workplace, and the book that I mentioned heavily in this video about why 70% of black women are single, which will also explain to black men why you have a hard time having relationships with black women. All these books are available on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, and they're also available at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me take relationships to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available for the first time in paperback, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. Learn all the reasons why so many black women can't find a husband and why 70% of black women are single. Get your copy of Why 70% of Black Women Are Single on Amazon.com today.
Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.